Hi guys, it's Dr. Selene with BU Medical. I want to talk to you about something near and dear to my heart, which is wedding prep. I love weddings. In my alter ego world, I probably would have been a wedding planner for super fancy weddings like Mindy Weiss or something like that. I love a beautiful wedding. I'm a huge fan of marriage, if you guys don't know about that. So I love it, love it, love it. In 2020, a lot of our weddings got postponed and was a big disappointment for a lot of my brides who had been looking forward to it. And I thought it was a great reason to elope and not spend all that money on weddings. That didn't go over well. So in my logical brain, I said, just forget that, $50,000 that you're gonna spend on your wedding and just go get eloped and don't do a party. No, these girls want their wedding day. So they want their big party, they want their moment where they look like a princess, and we want you to help get you there. And it's a beautiful process of getting ready for the wedding. The important thing is that you feel your best on your wedding day. I remember dieting, being at the gym regularly, trying to get my skin intact, drinking a ton of water, trying to get my hair to cooperate with me, all in prep for a wedding that was gonna happen a year later. And it's really your moment to shine. And for photos, everything being perfect, there's a lot of things that we have in our arsenal from an aesthetic standpoint that can get everything easier for you, for your makeup artist, and for your photographer. So everybody kind of works in conjunction together, and there's a timeline for this. So we kind of have to prep in preparation for this ahead of time. This goes for both mother of the bride, who it's also a big deal for, and the bride. So let's talk through what our options are. One of the things that I found is a lot of people have their COVID-15 or COVID-20. They have a little bit of extra fluff on them from being home. And so one of the options we have to kind of tone you up and get you wedding ready, and mother of the bride's included, is kind of trimming and toning the areas of the body that might help or might be seen in a strapless dress, let's say. So if you have loosey-goosey arms, which is common as we get older, EM tone is amazing, but we want to start that about 6 months in advance of the wedding date. And even if you do it closer to the wedding date, it's okay. Any improvement will be better than having bat wings. So that's one option for the strapless dress. If you have little tuck of fat around the bra fat, that's where Kybella really gets to shine for little tweaks of the areas. Or if you just overall want to look more smooth in your wedding dress, Cool Sculpting is a beautiful option to kind of target the areas where we can get you kind of more smooth. Or if you don't have an issue with fat and you just want to tone up for your honeymoon, then EM Sculpt is amazing to build up muscle. That's the body side of things, which is really quite important, of getting you looking amazing in your dress and feeling amazing in your dress. Then we move on to things like your face. So when I think about my brides, I always say we want to optimize everything for everybody involved. So it's going to be a lot easier for your makeup artist to put makeup on if it's not getting caught in the wrinkles of the forehead or in your crow's feet or, huge pores that she's having to cover up. The makeup for a wedding day is different than your everyday makeup because on camera, things show differently. So they're required to put makeup in a different area that might look a little bit more dramatic than your everyday, but it also can augment things like fine lines. So my makeup artist will actually often say, go see Selene so she can optimize the situation for me. So that way the photographer doesn't have to go in and do all this editing on your forehead or your spouse's forehead. And we have a kind of natural, soft look overall and not that edited, filtered look in the pictures. Same goes for mother of the brides as well. Even though we're not going to eliminate all the wrinkles, we can soften them. So it just has an overall softened appearance to it. And don't nickel and dime when it comes to this. If you see the studies of Botox, if you do all the 3 zones that are approved for Botox, you'll see a much more beautiful aesthetic result. So if you say, I only want to treat that guy that makes me squint in the sun, consider treating that guy, these guys, and the crow's feet a little bit. I always recommend doing that well ahead of your wedding so you can know what looks good on you. I've mentioned in other videos that for me, when I smile, I like to smile with my eyes, and that requires me to wrinkle a little bit. I wouldn't have known that had I just gotten my Botox and then my wedding was a week later. We don't recommend that, number one, because of bruising, but we also kind of want to tweak things. So I always tell my brides, mother of the brides, get started earlier rather than later, and then let's tweak things 3 to 4 weeks ahead of the wedding time. So that way we can make sure everything is intact. I do not recommend lip filler or things that are going to totally change your face within the week of your wedding. If you want to dabble in that months before, feel free. You don't want to totally change the aesthetic of your face just before a wedding and then people are like, who was that person? But there are certain things like fillers that can augment other areas of the face, especially for my mothers of the bride who want to look less tired. We can put a little bit of filler in the upper face just to refresh things. And for my brides themselves, we can put a little bit of filler just to make things pop and open up and look refreshed and look beautiful on camera. That's the filler world. We'll walk you through exactly how many syringes that requires. That can be anywhere from 1 syringe to 10 syringes, depending on what your needs are. But remember, don't go super aggressive really close to the wedding day. You want to make sure that you give enough time for the fillers to integrate into the tissue for you to kind of have an overall aesthetic look that you like, and we can tweak things. If something looks a little off, and remember, we're off kilter all the time, our faces are never completely symmetrical, but we can do little tweaks and try to play with things to make things as perfect as possible for you. So that's a volumization and a wrinkle reduction standpoint. Now let's talk about skin. It's probably the most important thing that I recommend for my brides is getting your skin intact and ready to go for that big day. For my mothers of the brides, we'll often recommend a more aggressive treatment like a CO2 laser. There's a lot of downtime with that, so we typically recommend doing that 4 to 5 months before the wedding day, and then tweaking later with fillers and maybe a less aggressive laser as we get closer to the wedding. That's for my mothers of the bride. Most of my brides are younger, so we may not do something as aggressive as a CO2 laser. We may do a series of sublative lasers that can kind of help resurface the skin and kind of get the pore size down, get some of that pigment down. It's important to combo this with good skincare. So it doesn't make sense for us to be doing all these lasers for you just to be using just whatever on skincare or using no skincare at all. So it's important to use skincare that can minimize hyperpigmentation, brown spots. It's important to be using retinol serums or creams to help regenerate the skin. It's important to use sunscreen every day. So those are the things that we want you to stay on top of, and stay moisturized. It's a beautiful way of anti-aging. And for right before the wedding, I always recommend our Hollywood laser, which is my Clear and Brilliant laser that I really, really love. And even if you want to do it a few times right before the wedding, I think it just gives you a beautiful glow. It really helps the skin shine. It minimizes pore size. So I always say, give that to yourself as a gift. It's as important as everything else that you do for wedding prep, massage, relaxation, facials, eyelash extensions, all that stuff. Do not forget your skin. It's what everybody sees. That's what people comment on, is that you look glowing, that you're amazingly beautiful, all that good stuff. And so make sure that you're not neglecting the core things that are gonna show in those pictures and that you're gonna have memories of for a lifetime. Take care of yourself from head to toe, and that includes services typically from an aesthetic clinic. So remember, guys, we want you guys to look great on your wedding day. It's what makes you feel great on your wedding day. It makes you ignore all the little silly comments from your aunt and uncle that you haven't seen in years. My grandma told me, why was my wedding dress so simple? And I was like, Grandma, because this is the way I like it. But because I felt amazing, I felt beautiful, nothing was gonna faze me on that day. And that's the way we want you to feel on your wedding day. We want you to do great things in this world. We're here to support you. We're here for consultations if you have any questions on all those different modalities. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.